Hey, it's Nathan with OptionsForAll.com. In this video, I'm going over my options trading results for the week ending February 6, 2026. In this video, we're going to go over the positions that I opened this week, the positions that I closed this week. We'll take a look at my current open positions and what I might need to adjust in the next week or two ahead. And then we'll finally have AI take a look at my portfolio and make any sort of recommendations or suggestions that it thinks. Now, I'm going to be using the Options4All option tracking dashboard to go through my portfolio, but this is a real account. This is my Robinhood account right here. You can see all the positions that I have open right here. So these are real trades. I'm not doing paper trades or anything like that. Now, real quick, I'm going to be honest with you. This week was very, very rough. My results look like they did pretty good. $3,861.91 realized. However, my portfolio is very heavy. Actually, it's primarily trading on IBIT, which is a Bitcoin ETF, and I also have MSTR, which is MicroStrategy, and they're like a levered Bitcoin company. And so this week has been really, really rough. Now, this is a trading account, and I'm not, trading more money than I'm able to lose. Like, I don't want to lose all my trading dollars, but I'm not going to wind up on the street if I do. But yeah, it was a rough week, and there's been lots of mistakes, and I'm learning some lessons, and eventually I'll do like a post-mortem and explain what I've learned and improve my overall options trading strategies. As you can see right here, I'm on my Robinhood account, and we can see the weekly for my portfolio, that includes stocks and options as well, is down $50,000 this week, 18.11%. So like I said, rough week. I had to do some emergency transactions and try and triage some things and try and save certain positions. So it got ugly, and I was taking on a little bit more risk than I probably should have been using such a volatile asset like Bitcoin or IBIT, the ETF that follows Bitcoin. So yeah, this week kind of sucked. Definitely made some mistakes. I'm going to learn from these mistakes. And anyway, also I want to share that there's a link in the description down below that you could follow, and it'll bring you into my portfolio. So you could go in here and you could click into positions and take a look at if you want to do something like that. Everything's visible for you if you're interested in going into more detail on my particular portfolio. Like, I don't cover something in enough detail and you want to take another look. So anyway, here we are inside of my portfolio, and I've filtered for this past week right here. My total P&L realized is $3,861.91. So I did okay with the options trades that I realized. However, yeah, like I said already, it was a rough week, down $50,000 this week. I have 4 positions that I opened this week that are still open. I had a 100% win rate on these options trades, so 3 wins, 0 losses. There's my current cash balance in my account, and here's my daily P&L breakdown. So we can see February 2nd, so I think that was Monday, and then February 6th, which was Friday. That's when I had the largest P&L, but this number is not telling the whole story, as I already explained to you. This is benchmark comparisons. So my portfolio looks like it had a good week at 25% return, and that's because of my realized profit and loss versus my capital deployed equals my return of 25%. So that looks awesome. I beat the S&P 500, I beat Bitcoin obviously, and then I also beat gold, which has been rallying recently. So yeah, looks kind of cool, but I did not do as well as that's showing. All right, so positions that I closed this week, there were 3 of them. And we'll go through them real quick. So I have this IBIT position, and this one I opened on Monday. You can see that I opened it on Monday and I closed it on Friday. So we'll just click into it real quick, and so we can see I entered it on Monday, closed on Friday. I got to keep my entire credit, which was $328.49, so 100% return there. And my strike price on this covered call was $47. And of course, IBIT crashed, so that made it easy to keep my entire credit on this particular position. So there's that position. I had another IBIT position. Let me open that up real quick. This position I had open for about 3 weeks, from January 16th to February 6th. My total credit was $3,096.18, so I had a 100% return on this particular position. However, I do want to point out that this position was part of a roll, and my chain total profit and loss, so between all the rolls that I did for this particular this particular chain was $1,308.60. So that's like my actual realized profit after rolling. So let's scroll on down. Here's my initial position. So I opened it on January 12th. I had a credit of $569.18. However, I then had to close it on January 16th, and I closed it for a debit. So my realized P&L for that initial position was negative $1,787. I rolled it out for a credit, and I was able to realize that credit this week because it was a covered call position, and you can see my strike was $55, and of course IBIT crashed to like $35 this week, if not lower, and my covered call expired worthless, so got to keep everything and at least close out that position and make some money, I guess. Another position I had closed this week was a SPY iron condor. So every week I've been opening up a new SPY iron condor position. It's usually 3 contracts at the 20 delta with a $5 spread between the different strikes on the legs. So we can see this position right here. I had my short call was at a 710 strike price, and my short put was at a 660 strike price. And we can see that I received a net P&L of $437.24 or 92.3% return. So I did close this position early. We can see that I closed it on February 2nd when it expired on February 6th. So I closed it a little early, but my goal has been to bring in $400 to $500 a week on these SPY iron condors. And so I was in that range, and SPY was doing some interesting things on Monday, and I just closed it out because I didn't want to be greedy on this particular position. So I closed it early, and I realized the $437.24 on that position. So there's that position. All right, now let's look at the positions I opened this week. So let's start with the IBIT covered call. We already discussed this one. This is the one I opened on Monday, and then it closed on Friday when it expired worthless, and I got to keep my full credit. I opened another iron condor position as well. So here's another iron condor. Now, this one is a little bit different than the ones I had been doing. I had been doing a $5 spread between my strike prices. However, I went through and ran a whole bunch of back tests on the best SPY iron condor strategy. And as it turned out, what it revealed is that the better spread is $25 between the 2 different strike prices. And so my short positions are still about 40 to 45 days till expiration, still at the 20 deltas or the negative 20 delta. However, the width between the 2 legs is $25 instead of $5. So here's my short call at a 720 strike, and then my long call position at $745. So I receive a lot larger credit up front. And again, that's because this strategy did the best out of all the back tests that I ran. So I'm trying it live, and hopefully it works out for me. Link in the description down below if you're interested in checking out this video on the back test to see what I tested. And of course, you could run your own back tests and do your own research and all that good stuff. And so that's that position that I opened. We can see that I've already received $66 in unrealized P&L, or 13.4% return. So far so good. We'll see what happens. Again, my goal is to make $400 to $500 every week. So I have a new position that I open up every week, and then it comes due where it either expires or I close it early, and I realize those gains, hopefully. So another position that I opened this week was a long call on IBIT. Since it was crashing so hard, I was like, you know what, I'm going to open up another long call position on IBIT because ultimately I am bullish on Bitcoin, and I'm either going up to the moon or down with the ship. But we can see that I opened it up. I have a $30 strike price with an expiration of June 17, 2027. So this is a leaps option, and I'm doing poor man covered calls. So I'm selling calls against this particular position, trying to recoup some of my debit that I paid for this position right here. So I've got about a year and a half in order for this position to turn, wildly profitable. Right now I'm down 18.1%, even though I thought I bought it near the bottom. But just a really, really rough week for Bitcoin and IBIT. So, it is what it is. I got a year and a half. Hopefully I can recoup those funds. All right, now this is where I kind of went off the rails and tried to triage and save my account. So let me come to my open positions real quick, and we'll see right here. So I have these cash secured puts on IBIT. They're expiring March 20th, 2026, and then 15 May 2026. So I got 3 positions, and basically 28 contracts are tied up in these positions. And let me add a column real quick. Hold on one second. So I added the strikes column so we could quickly see. The strikes are also over here, but we'll look right here. So I have a $53 put, I have a $58 put, a $54 put, and the current price of IBIT right now is $39.68. So I am deep in the money on these positions, which is definitely not what I want on a cash secured put. I want to be out of the money so it expires worthless, but we are deep in the money here, especially this one on the $58. I am $18.32 in the money, and this particular position has an unrealized P&L of $6,952.35. You can see that it's part of a roll chain as well. That entire chain is underwater, $12,557.34. So I'm doing a death roll here. It's just a sloppy situation. Again, I intend to make a lessons learned, a post-mortem type video on, everything that I'm doing here. But ultimately I was overconfident in Bitcoin and I did not think it was going to go as low as it did. And now it is biting me and biting me hard. So back to the dashboard and back to this past week. And so these positions right here, I bought them. They are long put options. So basically I was trying to cap out my cash secured puts and reduce some of the collateral that I had tied up in the cash secured put positions. So I wound up buying long puts. I went back and forth between buying long puts or just closing out my cash secured puts and just like taking the loss and moving on. And I'm still not exactly sure what the best move might have been, but things were crashing hard and I felt like I needed to do something quickly in order to not get completely blown up. And I went with buying long puts and keeping my cash secured put positions still open. And I'm spending some time this weekend doing some analysis and trying to think of the best course of action coming up early next week and basically reevaluate what it is I am doing, because yeah, it's getting a little out of hand and I understand that. And hopefully I'll be able to make some sort of training to help people not make similar mistakes. Okay, so those are the positions that I opened and closed this week. Now let's take a look at the positions that I have that are expiring in the near future and talk about what I'm going to do this week going forward. Now I already mentioned that I'm not exactly sure right now what I'm going to do about these cash secured puts and the long puts that I purchased. I'm going to be thinking about that and doing some analysis off screen. But also this week coming up, I'll open up another SPY iron condor, again with the goal of making that $400 to $500, 40 days from now. And then I may sell some covered calls against my IBIT positions. I do have about 3,000 shares of IBIT that I can sell long calls against. And then I also have several leaps options. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 leaps options that I can sell covered calls against. And I also have an MSTR leaps option that I've been doing poor man covered calls against. So I'll probably sell another covered call against the MSTR position that I have right here. So those are the positions that I'll probably open at the start of this week. So coming up to the top of the positions that I currently have open. So I have an iron condor that's expiring in 2 weeks. And so I'm probably going to let that one ride. We can see my unrealized P&L is currently $332.48, 72% return. Again, goal is $400 to $500 a week. So I got 2 weeks in order to be there. My short call strike is 715. My short put strike is 660. The current price is 690. So I'm like smack dab in the middle. I'm going to run a little bit of analysis on this as well. We'll go ahead and chart this position out. And so the tool I'm using right here is available at chart.optionsforall.com. It is a free tool. You don't have to sign up or anything like that, but what you do is you select your target date, so in this case February 20th, 13 days from now, your stock ticker symbol, you click generate, it generates a chart with all the relevant indicators like the EMAs, the volume, RSI, MACD, etc. And of course it has the candlestick chart as well, so we can do some charting options. And we click on analyze chart and it sends it over to Claude Sonnet 4.5 and it runs analysis on that chart to let us know what it thinks the price of this stock is going to be within whatever target date we selected, so 13 days from now. So let's see what AI thinks SPY is going to be at in 13 days. Alrighty, so AI has finished its analysis. It thinks that the price of SPY will be $701.50 in the next 13 days. So that would be perfect for my particular position of where I want it to not go past 715 or not below 660. So 701.50 would be perfect. And you can see it does all this analysis on the technical indicators, divergences and trends, chart patterns, potential scenarios, and then it gives us our overall bias. So it gives us the reason for its particular prediction, and so hopefully, it's right in this case. So that would be perfect. Also, we've recently integrated with option Strat. So let me pop that open real quick and we'll take a look at this particular position over here. They have really nice tables that look really good and can give us a quick view of our portfolio. All right, so basically what this is saying is that if the stock stays steady at its current price, I'll get up to the $400 range by about the 12th of February, and I'd be able to keep basically my full credit come Wednesday, the 18th of February. So that's what that's saying right there. Now, if the price goes up to about $696, I will be at my goal by, again, the 12th, but then my max goal by about the 17th, so a little bit early. So if the price goes up a little bit, that would be better than it going down. And if you haven't played with Option Strat before, I recommend checking it out. It's really cool. I really like this chart, and there's a bunch of other stuff too. You can build different trades and positions and definitely learn a lot from this site. There's also optimizations and flows as well. And a good chunk of that site is free as well, so it's worth checking out if you haven't already. All right, so that's that SPY Iron Condor. I got another SPY Iron Condor, just a whole bunch more Iron Condors. I already talked about my cash secured puts and my long positions, and so yeah, that's basically what we're working with on these open positions right here. Now, for the last thing I want to do is have AI analyze my account. So I'm going to come over to analysis, and I want to go to my AI open position analysis, and I'm going to go ahead and regenerate report. And so right now AI is going to look at my 16 open positions with live pricing data, my Greek exposure and historical performance, and then it's going to give me an analysis of what it thinks I should do with my open position. So we'll take a look at it in just a minute here. Alrighty, so AI has finished analyzing my open positions and has come up with some recommendations. Now, it is AI, so it can make some mistakes, but obviously so can humans. So what I like doing right here is just using it as a second set of eyes, and honestly, if I had listened to it like a month or so ago, I probably would have been in a much better position for this week that I just experienced. So maybe AI, I should just listen to it. Anyway, let's go through real quick. I'm not going to go through all the details because it would take 20 minutes to do that, and I don't want to make this video too much longer, so we'll go real quick. So right here I have that SPY Iron Condor. They recommend I close it now for $332 profit. Again, my goal is $400 to $500 profit, and I got some room. I'm not pushing up against any legs, so I'm going to let it go, and I got 12 days still. All right, the next one I have is another SPY Iron Condor. It recommends that I close it by February 20th. Another SPY Iron Condor, another one, and basically it's just saying wait on both of those positions. And I have two more that it mentions, and it's basically just saying wait. So all my SPY Iron Condors, it's saying, just to wait, except for the one it wants me to close early, but I'm going to let it ride. All right, so my major problem positions are my roll chain hell. So again, my IBIT $58 put, my $54 put, my $53 put, and so on. My total current losses on those three positions is $20,000. My roll chain losses is $36,000. It's bad. I got it. It recommends me to stop digging, take the loss now. Recommended is option A. Option B, roll one more time. Option C, accept assignment, and it's not recommended that I accept assignment. So my recommendation is to take option A, close all three IBIT CSPs today. And if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that it's been telling me to stop rolling and close these positions out for a while now, and I've ignored it. And here I am. All right, so position by position recommendation, and it just goes through my positions. And I have a SPY covered call as well. It's underwater but manageable. Current P&L is negative $1,041, and it just makes some recommendations about rolling up and out is what it recommends there. So it wants me to roll that position, so that's kind of neat. We then get into my IBIT long positions. They say hold, 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 and this one says consider closing. And that's because it needs a 13% rally already just to get in the money. And I'm paying $1.20 per day theta as it is. And who knows, I probably should listen to that. All right, we got my IBIT long puts, so cheap portfolio hedges. And its recommended action is to close both of them immediately. I've already losing money on them, and I'm paying basically $66.50 a day to hedge against a position I should be closing already. So again, more argument for just closing those positions out. So earlier in the video, I said I wasn't sure if I should close out my positions, just take the L, or if I should buy those put options, which is what I did. And it's saying that I should not have done that. So that's its opinion. My MSTR long call is deep underwater. It says to hold, but set a stop loss on it. And then my portfolio risk summary, we got a breakdown of the deltas and gives me insights. I got theta decay analysis, priority action list this week, and it breaks down different priorities and key price levels to watch, and portfolio rebalancing recommendations and lessons from this portfolio. So what is working and what is not working, and a final summary of what to do right now. And so that's what AI thinks I should do with my portfolio. And like I said, if I would have listened to it a month and a half ago, I would not be in the predicament that I am in right now. So yeah, it could be really helpful. Again, do your own research. You're responsible for your own actions and all that type of stuff. I'm not a financial advisor. And that's where I'm going to leave this video. Again, it's been a rough week. Hopefully we get a good bounce on Bitcoin or IBIT and things start looking better, but hope is not really an investing strategy. And I'm going to do a deep dive into, my positions and where I think I'm going to go this week coming up, but I'm going to do that off camera. And eventually I'll produce a video where I have lessons learned and kind of a breakdown on my strategy going forward. And that's it. I hope everybody has a great weekend and a great week ahead. All right, talk to you later.